Hi guys, this is SDJRSNF88 speaking, with a review of another extremely anticipated model, the all-new 40-ton Outer Crank Sentinel from Hornby. Two versions were announced at the end of last year as part of the Hornby 2015 range and are now available. The first, R3354 in Wabtec black livery, and this sample, R3354 Barabel in this stunning maroon livery with Wasp Strips as preserved on the Nene Valley Railway. Naturally, I got this model at my local model shop, Signals Models of Midsummer Norton, for the reasonable price of £53.80. Unlike some of the recent models I've reviewed from Hornby, the Sentinel does not feature a brief history of the class on the outer packaging, due to the small size of it. But for those of you interested, I've done a little bit of research. This locomotive was one of 4 types of diesel shunter constructed by the Sentinel Wagon Works in 1963, in partnership with Rolls Royce. These versions included a 34-ton 040 change-driven design as previously modelled by Hornby, fitted with a 233 horsepower 6-cylinder engine which was later uprated to 255 horsepower, a 48-ton 060 rod-coupled version with 311 horsepower 8-cylinder engine, and an even larger 74-ton 080 version with twin 8-cylinder engine was also produced. This version is the 40-ton outer crank design fitted with an 8-cylinder engine similar to that in the 060 version. These versatile machines saw service in all manner of industries, including collieries, quarries, steelworks, dockyards and even the MOD. Many members of the class, like this one here, have survived into preservation. So, without further ado, let's take a look at the inner packaging. The packaging is the same as seen on the previous version of the Sentinel, and is very similar to the style of packaging that was used by Hornby a number of years ago, with the exception of the polystyrene tray being replaced with the ice cube here. On top of the ice cube, we can see there is a separately fitted detailing pack, in which it contains 2 sections of the buffer beam, for those of you who wish to remove the NEM couplers and add chain links, and this basically completes the full buffer beam design as seen on the real locomotives. So, without further ado, let's get her out of the tray and pop her on the track. Here she is on the track, and the one thing that never seems to stop surprising me is the size of the model. It really is surprising once you get the model out of the box how small these locomotives really are. But nonetheless, there is a good amount of weight to the model, thanks to the main running frame being made from metal. Another thing that is really eye-catching about the model is of course that beautiful livery, which we will take a closer look at later on in the review. Taking a look at the front of the locomotive, and we have the iconic grille, which Hornby have captured extremely well. As can be seen, it is made up from a number of separate parts, including an etched grille which is placed behind the main frame, which really gives a sense of depth to the model. Down the centre of the grille we have the iconic Sentinel builder's plate, which is of course a sword. Again, this has been very well captured. There are 4 lights on the front, 2 at the top and 2 on the buffer beam. These are non-operational, but then again, it's not surprising for a model of this size. Moving on down, and we have the buffer beam, which again has been very well captured. It is a totally different design to that seen on the previous version of the Sentinel from Hornby, so it really does show they have done their research. The buffers are non-sprung. This is due to them being part of the cast for the frame itself, of course adding to the weight. As well as that, the buffers directly behind the buffers is actually where the steps are to, so if sprung buffers were added, the springs would show through on the steps behind, which I think would really detract from the look of the overall model. As can be seen, the NEM coupling sticks through on the front. As mentioned in the detailing pack, there is another section of the buffer beam, so for those of you wishing to complete the full buffer beam look, you just simply remove the NEM coupling and pop in the insert. Above the NEM coupling, we have a coupling hook, which has been very well captured as well. And then, of course, we've got that beautiful wasp stripe livery, which has been very well applied. The underframe of the model is very well detailed. As mentioned, the main frame itself is die cast, adding to the overall weight, and the parts, including the steps, are all part of that casting and have been cast very well. Under the underframe of the locomotive itself, we have the main drive rods for the locomotive. These, I think, are a work of art. They really are extremely tiny with the little cranks there and very well captured. As well as that, we have all the brake rigging, sandpipes, which have all been very well captured, and in some cases, like the sandpipes themselves, separately added. As we move along, we have the rear steps as well, again part of the casting. And as can be seen, those Wasp Strips are a dominant feature on the frames, and again have been very well added. Moving on to the sides of the loco, and we have that stunning maroon livery, which I think suits the locomotive extremely well. As can be seen, we have the Sentinel builder's plate, which is just below the window there on the cab. This is applied along with a very fine yellow and black line, similar to that seen on British Railway Mark 1s. Again, as we come along, we have another nameplate, which is of course the locomotive's name, Barabel, which again has been very neatly applied. Here we have one of the side panels, and as can be seen, as part of the moulding, it includes over the handrail, which again has been very well captured. Onto the bonnet itself, and we have another builder's plate, which is clearly legible and reads powered by Rolls Royce. Taking a look at the model from above, and we can see how the side panels have been separately applied. As part of their moulding, it also includes the inner detail, as can be seen on the one at the top of the screen. As well as that, beside it, we also have the air filter intake, which again has been separately fitted to the front of the cab. The cab itself has also been very well captured, featuring a number of separately fitted and moulded details. As can be seen, the exhaust on the front has also been very well captured. On the front of the cab, we have a separately fitted windscreen wiper, which again is the same on the other side, and also on the rear, and have been very neatly and well applied. Inside the cab itself, we also have a number of separately fitted details. This includes the throttle. There's one here and also one on the opposite side of the cab. Those are connected together by a thin strip of wire, which replicates the joint throttles inside the locomotive, allowing the crew to operate the locomotive from either side. As well as the throttles, we also have the brake wheel, which can be seen just there. Apart from that, there is not much other detail in there. This is due to the motor taking up most of the space, which is totally understandable on a model of this size. Moving on to the rear of the locomotive, and we have the second bonnet, which is very similar to that seen on the front, though with the difference of there being no grille, which is true to the prototype. As can be seen, there is a number of separately fitted and moulded details. There are separately fitted handrails, like that seen on the front, but also another separately fitted handrail along the side of the bonnet itself, which again has been very neatly applied. The sword, like on the front, is also very well captured. The rear buffer beam is to the same specification as seen on the front. So, without further ado, let's see how she performs. So, here we are, the moment of truth. Like in previous reviews, she has yet to have a run-in, but unlike in previous reviews, we have a new controller. I finally got round to wiring in the Gauge Master Model D. So, without further ado, let's see how she performs. Of course, this is on analog, so I'll give her a bit of power. Would you look at that? That was a lovely smooth pull away there. For a model straight from the box. Now she's coming up to the point work here, which is where Sentinels apparently do have a bit of trouble. She's going quite slowly. Look at that, no issue whatsoever. I'll stop her there. Now, let's see how she performs in reverse. Give her a bit more juice. Another very smooth pull away. And look at that, no issue over the points there. Just bring her back into the shot and I'll stop her there. Now for those of you who wish to run her on DCC, you will have to buy a special chip from Hornby, as due to the size of the loco, a special chip had to be made to fit in. But again, apparently it's quite easily accessible under the cab to fit one. So for those of you running on DCC, you just have to get a special chip, so don't go out buying normal chips to fit in there, as it just will not fit inside the body. But all in all, that performance there, I mean, straight from the box, was really, really good, and I'm really looking forward to see how smooth she could go after a good run-in. But without further ado, let's get on to the scores. So, there you have it. The all-new Outer Crank Sentinel from Hornby. And boy, what can I say, it really is a superb model indeed. As soon as they announced the previous version of the Sentinel, back a few years ago, I was hoping that more versions would follow, and Hornby certainly haven't disappointed with this model here. It really is amazing. I mean, the detail, the performance, I mean, the way that they've managed to model that little crank drive underneath, it really is amazing, and it really is hypnotic seeing it running back and forth on that little test run, and I really look forward to doing some shunting with it in the near future. So, on to the scores. Well, detail, that has to be a 10 out of 10. It really has a lot of fine detail for such a small model. There's plenty of separately fitted handrails and other details, and the details that are moulded are very well moulded. And of course, the main frame itself is cast, so quite a lot of details, like the buffer beams, the steps, are all part of a casting, which again has been very well captured. Then we come on to the livery, and the livery is, well, now, I'm a big fan of Wasp Stripes, and I think Hornby have done a really good job in capturing the Wasp Stripes that are fitted to Barabel at a moment, which, you know, really are eye-catching. And then you've got those beautiful fine, you know, yellow and black lines along the body, which have been very neatly applied, and again on the grills as well. And then you've got the nameplates and the builder's plates, and of course the iconic swords, and they are all perfectly legible, and they're just so tiny and fine and very well applied. So that has to be a 10 out of 10 as well. Then we come on to performance. Now, as you saw, she performed extremely well, especially for a model that, you know, straight out of the box. I mean, I was really amazed. I was honestly expecting her to stall on a pair of points there, but, you know, she just cruised over them. That is really amazing, and of course it's very important for a model like this. And with that added weight, I'm sure she'll be able to haul a fair few wagons while shunting around in a yard. Then we come on to price, and I think, you know, these are models you can pick them up for around £50. I mean, this one was £53.80, and, you know, I think it is absolutely superb value for a model like this. I mean, you won't be disappointed. I mean, they are perfect for any layout, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more liveries applied to these models, both this crank version and the chain-driven version in the near future. And fingers crossed, we may even see the 060 version, which I would really love. And this is very wishful thinking, but maybe even the twin-engined 080 version. Now, I think that would be something else. So, I guess that's all for this review, and I hope you enjoyed. And again, I highly recommend these models. There's a link below to Signals Models website, as they do have a few versions in stock. And yeah, so anywhere, but wherever you are, or whatever shop you go to, I highly recommend you get these models. They are really, really superb. So again, massive 10 out of 10 to Hornby. So, this has been SDJR, SenF88 speaking, and thanks for watching.